What's up, guys? I'm back from vacation, so it's time for another podcast. Now, on vacation, I spend a lot of time just chilling in the pool, not really having anything to do. And that's actually a great time to reflect on where your life is at that point and things that you maybe want to change. So, that gave me a lot of material to talk about in this podcast. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is actually something that I never really noticed this before, how this has affected me throughout my life, but it seems to be a pretty big part of it, and it's actually something that I think has a negative effect on a lot of things that I do. So that's why I decided to talk about this topic first, because there's other things I want to talk about as well, but those will come in later podcasts. And what I mean by the thing that has affected me so far is that in a lot of things I seem to sort of diminish myself or diminish my worth, so to speak. I'll try to explain this as best as I can because I couldn't really find the right translation for the word that I was looking for. But for example, when I have to apply for a job, I'll usually very much diminish myself beforehand. I'll be like, oh, why would they want me? There are so many other people who are more qualified than me, and I'm sure all of those, they showed up as well to apply for their job, so they have so much choice, and I'm really not suitable for the job, so there are a lot of other people who can do it much better, so why would they pick me? That's sort of the short version of it, right? And that's something like I don't know anything about the other people applying for a job. So you just know your own values, you just know your own skills and worth, and that's how you go into applying for a job, right? But what I do is completely diminishing my own worth, like, oh, it's not that much, the things I can do, they're not that great. Everyone can do those things, right? And the things other people can do, oh, they're absolutely necessary for the job, and I don't have those things. So I'll make myself very small, very unimportant compared to the other people who are applying for that job, without ever really meeting any of those other people, without ever really knowing what they can do. And this applies to a lot of things. It's not just about applying for a job. It's also, say I was working at a job and I could get a promotion, which, at this side job that I have, there have been a number of times where I could do something more. You could call it a promotion. I could get different tasks and things like that, and then I'll be like, well, I'm almost finished with my education, so I won't be here for long, and it's not really useful, so I'll just go like, I'll be here for, like a half a year or whatever, and so if they spend that time on me now, and then I'll be gone, and then they'll be like, well, that wasn't the intention, you had to stay for a very long time. So I'll think of all these reasons why not to take me, basically. I'm like the worst advocate ever. I'm like, oh no, you shouldn't take this guy because of this and because of this and because of this. And my coach as well has said this, where she's like, you can just try for it, and even if you leave after I don't know how many months, just don't mention that in applying for a new position, because we think you'd be really good for it, but I can just think of all the reasons why I wouldn't be good for it, why someone else would be much better, right? Because I think I'll be leaving within half a year, and that other person will be there for years. I've sort of decided that for the other person, and so it's much better to pick him or her. So that happens within a job, but I spent all this time. One day during vacation, we had like a chill day, and I was just swimming around in the pool, just thinking about this in my head, going like I do this quite a lot, and I came back this week and started working on my thesis again. And one thing that sort of clicked within me is that I do this with my thesis, with my school projects as well. Where with school project like this, with a thesis, you have to read all these articles and come up with your own opinion. And I find I'm really having trouble taking a firm position. Just saying, this is how it is. I've read a lot of articles about this. This is the decision from those articles. This is what they say. I am really having a lot of trouble doing that. I'll probably I'll be much more careful in my wording. I'll say, well, I've read a few articles. Like, not I've read articles, no, I've read a few, and I won't say they say, I'll be like, some of them say. I'll use all these words to make it much smaller and ambiguous than it really is. Like, if I say I read 100 articles and they all say the same thing, I would probably still be like, yeah, I've read some articles and most of them say that this is this. So I can't really take a stance, I can't really say, like, I've read a lot of articles and they say this and this. I won't do that. And I think one of the reasons is that I'm just, in the back of my head, I'm afraid that I've just missed that one article that says the complete opposite of the stance that I'm taking, and that it will be pointed out to me, right? And that's sort of, in a thesis like this, it's not very useful. Because you have to take certain stances, like, this is how it is, this is how it is, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm sort of sidetracking all of that. I'm not really committing to anything. So yeah, that's that's another part of my life in which that applies, and there's more. It's and that's what I mean about this is actually affecting me in quite a lot of things. I noticed something that once you've figured it out, like, this is something that I do, then you can just sort of check the different areas of your life. Like, does it apply to this? Does it apply to work? Does it apply to school? Does it apply to just hanging out with friends? Things like that. And with me, actually, it does. Because I live in a different city than most of my friends. It's about a half an hour trip with a car. So say I wanted to do something with my friends, right? I wouldn't quickly invite them to my place. Like, I'll quickly think, like, oh, they'll have to travel all the way here just to hang out with me. So they have to go through all this effort just to hang out with me, right? So then, instead of that, I'll always go to them. I'll always go to their city and never really invite them to mine. And it's actually, that's the same thing, making yourself a lot smaller, making yourself sort of not worthy. Sort of saying to yourself, like, oh no, they'd have to travel for a half an hour to get to me. I'm not worth that much travel time. They'll say, oh, that's too much effort, just to hang out with you. That takes way too much effort on our part to do that. And it's something that I sort of decide for them. And it's based on absolutely nothing, like nothing at all. And it's really annoying that you think, why would I make myself so unimportant? Why do I say to myself, like, oh, you're not worthy of that, you're not worthy of them traveling all this way just to have a night with you? Yeah, that's very important, very annoying. And I've actually, at the start of this year, I did this a lot more, where I would invite friends over to the city that I live in. And a lot of them were actually like, if we had certain nights and I'd say, yeah, we can do it here. And they would come, like, without any hassle. They would be like, oh, sure, we'll come. And they actually said to me, like, we're actually happy that we're here more now, that you invite us to your home as well, instead of just coming to ours, right? So they don't mind, but somehow in my own mind, I sort of figured out, like, no, it's not worth the hassle. So yeah, that's it. Making yourself very small, making yourself very unimportant, very not worthy of certain things. I don't really know where this is coming from, and that's not as important to me. Some people, they once they figure something like this out, they want to know exactly like what happened in my past to cause this, to cause me to be like this. That's not that important to me. I don't care where it comes from. I just care that I have it now, and that I want to. What's most important to me is that I want to change it. I don't want to have this like forever. I want to get rid of this, right? Because another thing that I realized is that I use this with my study as well, like very much, and this is something that I recognize in a lot of other students as well, is that very much I have the feeling like once I'm done with my education, like I'm not ready for the world yet. So I'm studying psychology. Like once I'm done with that education, I'm still not a psychologist. I'd have the title Master of Psychology, but I wouldn't be a psychologist. Like I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not fit to be a psychologist yet. I don't know enough. I don't have enough experience. And the immediate thought is, so no one will hire me, right? Like I'll be done with my education and I'll enter the work field and I'll try to apply for different jobs, but no one will have me because I don't have any experience. I'm too old, things like that I'll say to myself. So without really knowing anything or having applied to anything, I already said to myself like they won't hire me because I'm not worthy of being hired, so to speak. Like they'll find someone who's way more suitable than me, who's younger than me, who has much more experience, who finished their education a lot faster than I have. I'll sort of automatically assume that, and I'll assume that all my qualities that are very good, like that other person will have those as well, and they'll have qualities that I don't have. So what I'm sort of doing is I'm starting out with a disadvantage, with a huge disadvantage. Because someone else might go into applying for a job like, oh, I really want this job and I'm good for this job, like I'm the right person for this job, and here I come like I really want this job and I'm definitely not the right person for this job. So who do you think is going to do a better job of showing who they are in the interview, right? Who's going to do a better job of saying, oh no, this is why you should hire me? It's not going to be the guy who goes there and says like, I want this job, but I'm not the right person for this job. Like I'm saying that. It's not even that they're saying that. I'm saying that before I even get there. And yeah, that's not good. It's really not good. It's like I'm getting close to finishing my education, and that is not something that you want to have when entering the work field. Because if I keep this, it's gonna stop me from applying to jobs. I've noticed this in the past as well, where I'll see a job and I think, oh, that would be really cool, but I don't really fit this. Like you have to know this and this, and I don't know that. And a lot of other people who will apply for that job, they know that. So, so yeah, that is not good. And you know, before getting to what I want to be doing about that, one thing that I said like at the start of this project is that I really want to work on is my purpose. What do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to spend my time? Things like that, purpose. And this thing that I've talked about of diminishing myself, making myself very unimportant and not worthy, that's something I do with purpose as well. Because like I said, this project is something that I want to start looking for my purpose, like what it is that I want to spend my time on. I want to find something that I'll happily spend my time on, that I think like, oh, you know, I have to spend 8 hours this day on that project. I want to do that. I want to spend my time there. But when I think about fully committing myself to something like that, the next thought is I think I won't be able to do that. When I think I won't be able to fully commit myself to something like that. I'll think about, oh, this is something that I really want to do, and I have to spend 8 hours on that during the day. I can't do that. When I hear about, you hear about other people who just love their job, and then they'll get out of bed, they'll be like, oh, I like spending time on this job, and they'll work really hard on that job, they'll work really hard on that passions, and the first thought that I have is, I can't do that. I can't spend that much time on a project, even if I love that project. And yeah, that's just something, just a link that I found, connected to this project, where I specifically said I want to find my purpose, and this is something that is hindering me in that. Because if I were to say to myself like, oh, I want to find my purpose, and if I said to myself like, I know that if I work hard, I'll find the thing that I really want to spend my time on. First of all, that's something not like, oh, if I work hard, maybe. No, if I work hard, I'll find it. I will. And then the next step, if I find the thing that I really want to be working on, I can commit myself to work 8 hours a day on that project, just five days of the week. Just work really hard on that project and make something of it. Right now, what I'm saying to myself is, I can't find my purpose, and even if I did find my purpose, I wouldn't be able to spend that much time on it. So that thought, connecting back to things I said earlier in the project, where instead of just not spending that much time on anything, what I want to do with this project is to attack the problems head on. Instead of thinking like, instead of accepting it as it is, that part is done. Right now it's about attacking the things that are hindering me and stopping them. And with this, it's something difficult. I don't really have the exact answer to it, but I think most of it is just about sort of boosting your confidence, boosting your own self-worth. And what I want to do, at least for now, is when I think of something like this, it's something very simple, but I've found this in other projects as well about happiness, where if I find something that I want to do, like I want to find my purpose, for example, instead of going like, I want to find my purpose, but I'll never be able to do it, say things like, I want to find my purpose and I will. I want to find a job that's suitable for me and I will. I want to work hard on my thesis. I want to spend a lot of hours every week that I can. I want to spend those working on my thesis and actually making progress, and I will. I will do those things. Instead of saying, oh, I can't, or I won't, or I'm not suitable to do it, no, I will. It's sort of a mental trick that you have to play with yourself, sort of shaping I can't to I can. And this is probably something that's going to take a lot of practice, because I haven't had any practice with this so far. I've always jumped to I can't, so it's going to take a lot of practice to, instead of going that route, going the different route and saying I can. And what really helps, I think, with this is what I've been doing so far, is writing everything that I figure out, everything that I talk about in these videos. I write that down in the book, and so this will be written down as well. Instead of saying I can't, say I can. It's so simple, but I hope it'll just help a lot, just to get that mindset of negativity, just to get that out a bit. Instead of making myself small and not worthy, just make myself worthy of someone's attention, saying like, no, I am worthy of someone's attention. I am worthy of that job. I am worthy of finishing my study and finding something that I really love. and why wouldn't I be? So yeah, that's that's what I want to do right now. So I'll write that down in the book, that action. And what helps most about this book is this is something that I do automatically. Yes, the negativity, the saying I can't. I do that automatically. It's just like that's my first response. So with this book, every few every few days I just pick up the book and I just flip through it and just read through the things that I've discovered so far, and this will be in it. So this is something that I'll repeat to myself like every week, and I just hope in that way that it will sort of start to be the dominant way of thinking. Instead of I can't, say I can, just to get that into my mind more and more. And it's something, if you struggle with this as well, I would advise it to you as well, just to write these things down in the book with this as well, and just pick that book up every week. Say this to yourself every week, right? Don't listen to one video and think, oh yeah, this is so important, I want to do that as well, and then never think about it again. Just pick it up again and again and think about it again and again. And that's the only way that you can change this. So yeah, that's what I want to do right now. I want to start doing that, or I'm going to start doing that. I'll write it down in the book and I'll flip through it every week, and I'll say to myself like, this is something that I want, and this is something that I can do and I will do. Yeah, so that's it for this video. There's a lot of other things that I want to talk about that I figured out during the vacation, because it's such a good time to just reflect. But those will be in the next videos. So far, thank you for watching this one, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one.